Okay, this is still lesson 1. It's going to be part 3. We're still talking about planning for instruction. Just wanted to talk to you briefly to end this part of it. The flow, the kind of the way teaching the content comes down from the state all the way to the classroom. So you want to start with the state curriculum framework, where they have philosophies for guiding curriculum implementation, discussing the essential content taught, and different ways that you assess those. Then you have the district curriculum guide that provides content goals key to the state framework. It enumerates appropriate teaching activities and assignments. It gives outline for unit plans and the topics. Then you have the teacher unit and lesson plans. Those describe how the curriculum guide goals are implemented daily. Refers to the topics to be covered, the activities, the materials needed. Identifies evaluation strategies. Notes adaptations for your special needs students, your ESL students. And then you have the grade book, which records those objectives mastered, identifies what do you need to reteach, what do you need to remediate in. It gives progress indicators, and it's for that guidance to promote or retain for the next grade. There is several online modules that talk about planning for instruction. They talk about why do you plan, what is a unit plan, what are lesson plans, instructional objectives, writing objectives, interactive practice where you practice writing those, and different things like that. So it's really good to be able to write a good lesson plan. And in order to do that, it takes practice. So that's just part of it, is planning for assessment. So the next part that we're going to talk about is the designing, developing, and using classroom tests. Test specifications. What is test specifications? In my other classes, I'll talk about a test blueprint. It's kind of like a layout for a house. You got to figure out how many windows, how many doors, how many bedrooms, whatever you're going to have. So what are the specifics of that house? So what are the specifics of your test? How many questions are you going to have? How many objectives are you going to cover? How many questions per objective are you going to have? What levels of Bloom's taxonomy are you going to assess those students? There's 6 different levels, like we said. Are they just going to be application? Are they going to be knowledge? Are they going to be comprehension? You need to have as many different levels possible so that you reach the different learners. Okay? Now, you don't always have to have a paper pencil test. Obviously, you can assess them multiple ways, but you want to provide options because that is how you reach all of your learners. I want to talk to you too a little bit about writing those test items, how to ensure that they're valid and reliable. So we'll talk about validity and reliability. We'll talk about test specifications. We're going to talk about rating student performance, attitudes, behaviors, evaluating group performance. All of this is in the notes provided for you, but I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview if you would rather hear it in person. Okay, validity and test design. The term validity refers to the appropriateness of inferences made from students' test results. If a test adequately measures the behavioral objectives it is intended to measure, the student's test scores should be valid for the inferences based on these scores. To help ensure that your tests provide valid measures of student progress, you need to consider the following 5 questions during the design process. How well do the behavioral objectives selected for the test represent the instructional goal framework? How will test results be used? Which test item format will best measure achievement of each objective? How many test items will be required to measure performance adequately on each objective? And when and how will the test be administered? So validity, what is validity? Is it valid? That means, does it measure what you intended for it to measure? That is the most important thing for a test to be as valid. Let's talk about reliability. Reliability refers to the consistency or stability of test scores obtained. If a student received a low score on a test taken in the morning, the teacher should expect similar results if the student were to take the test in the afternoon. Similar test results would suggest that the test was reliable. So within 5 points, if you take a test on Monday and a student takes it the following Monday, if they come within 5 points, that's considered reliable. You can have reliability every time you give a test, but that does not mean that it's valid. So you can have reliability without validity, but you can't have validity without reliability. And to be a good test, you want it to have both. Okay? To help ensure your test will produce the most reliable scores, select a representative sample of objectives from the goal framework. The better your objectives represent the entire framework, the more reliable the scores will be. And this is where that specification comes in, that table of specification or test blueprint. If you will lay it out in a two-way chart, let me show you. Like this. You have this two-way chart. Let me find it. Okay. So across the top, you've got knowledge, comprehension, application, and then you list your objectives down the side here, over here. So you list your objective. Which column does it go in? Knowledge, comprehension, application. So that's going to help you check off to make sure you've included all of your objectives on your test. So that's just a little simple two-way table that you can do with, here are my objectives, what content or what knowledge level of learning it falls under. That ensures that you have those tests on there. Select enough items to represent adequately the skills required in each objective. The more test questions you have, the more reliable. But you don't want to put bad questions because then it's not going to be valid. Okay? Select item formats that reduce the likelihood of guessing. So true, false, that's highly likely to guess. You'd rather do open-ended multiple choice. Matching, maybe more open-ended type questions, things where where they have multiple options, not just A or B, true, false, and completely guess. Prescribe only the number of items that students can complete in the time available, so 2 to 3 minutes for each question. There's some research out there that tells you how long to give for students, and it just varies. Excuse me, I say if it takes you 20 minutes to take the test, it's going to take them double, if not triple. So it's kind of a rule of thumb. Determine ways to maintain positive behavior and attitudes toward testing. You should plan to inform students of the test date and time, the purpose of the test, and how the results will be used. The more students know, the more comfortable they're going to feel. And like I said earlier, the more you assess informally along the way, they're going to be ready for that formal assessment. No matter what it is you give them, no matter what you ask of them, they're going to feel prepared. And that's our job, is to make them be prepared. Okay, we talked about the table of specifications, how you can do that. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of information about that. The next clip that I'm going to do is going to be writing objective test items. So we're going to actually talk about writing the test items. So that will be part 4.